For more on this story, I'm now joined by two senior cricket journalists in V. Krishnaswamy and Vedam Jaishankar, who joins us live from Bangalore. Swami, I'll start with you. Do you think Ravi is right in being aggrieved? Do you think, as Ravi Shastri is alleging, he disrespected his position, Sourav Ganguly?
Like, let's be clear, nobody likes being rejected for any job, no matter what the job is. Now, here it is. Ravi must obviously be feeling very peeved that Sourav was not there in the interview panel as was expected, but then as it transpires, it also seems that Sourav had already informed his colleagues in the panel that he was not going to be available for that specific slot when the interview was being taken concerning Shastri, because apparently he had to attend some book function and also a CAB meeting of which he is the president. But on the other hand, if we accuse Ganguly of being disrespectful for the job that he was supposed to be doing and interviewing a candidate for a certain job, but also the same thing could be said about Ravi Shastri. You don't give interviews for one of the best jobs in the cricketing world sitting in a holiday spot in Bangkok. I mean, you got to be present in person. I can understand if it was Tom Moody sitting in Australia, which is his home, and a kind of giving an interview on Skype or on a kind of video conferencing. But for an Indian to be sitting in Bangkok and giving the interview on a video conference or Skype or whatever it is from a third place, which is very obviously a holiday spot, I don't think it conveys seriousness either. So in this sense, I would say the scales will be tilted more than slightly in Sourav's favor in this kind of a clash.
Okay, let me take that question to Vedam now. Krishnaswamy here says that if Mr. Shastri was so serious about the job, why did he have to sit in a holiday destination and give the interview? Then Vedam, do you think it's a case of sour grapes then on part of Mr. Shastri?
See, I am not willing to go whether it's sour grapes or not, but certainly there is a process and the process has to be respected. If Shastri was in the wrong sitting wherever he was sitting and giving the interview, then they could have said that very well up front. Now, Sourav Ganguly happens to be an executive member of the BCCI, he is in the working committee, which means he is far more important over there. Now, if he has decided to abuse the process, then I think it's a sad commentary if we can't do a simple thing just like choosing a coach.
So whether
the BCCI has accepted, the BCCI has accepted that you could give the interview from wherever you are. It is a BCCI which has organized the video link up. It's not Shastri who has organized a video link up. See, I am not batting either for Shastri or Anil Kumble, but I'm a little peeved that a process has not been followed. And if you don't follow process right from the beginning, the process has not been followed, and that's why I think we have ended up in this mess.
Okay, you think the process was not followed. In that sense, Vedam, let me ask you another question. Then in that case, is Mr. Shastri trying to suggest that it was just Sourav Ganguly's opinion that really mattered? Let's just assume he wasn't there for that moment. There were other very, prominent figures there for the interview. I'm sure they interviewed him. He goes on to say that they asked really great questions. Then why just blame everything down to Sourav Ganguly?
See, apparently you would like everybody who is supposed to be in the interview panel to be there. And Sourav is a very important member of that panel because he is an executive committee member. He is not coming there on a holiday. He is coming there to do a job. So from what I heard from my sources, the interview was supposed to be in Bombay. It was shifted to Calcutta because of the pink ball match, etc., etc., etc. In which case, I think Sourav, even if he was not available for that half an hour or 45 minutes, could have very well conveyed that and the interview could have been shifted. The timing of the interview was not written in stone. It could have been adjusted this way or that way. But the fact that he has not been there shows a little bit of contempt. Okay. Whether we like it or not, the fact is the process has not been followed. And we shouldn't bother too much about individuals. We should hanker on the process again and again and again. If we don't do that, we are only weakening the structure.
Okay, the other point here in this entire debate, Swami, I'll come to you. Mr. Shastri in all his interview goes on to say that, listen, this is the issue, Sourav Ganguly wasn't there, but you know what, I'm over whatever has happened, I'm over it. Kumble has got the job, all the best to him. But is he really over it? Because if he was over it, he wouldn't be mentioning things that had happened in the meeting, or rather things that didn't happen in the meeting.
Certainly, I mean, there's no doubt about it. Nikhil, it's absolutely human. I would, I would be surprised, if a person like Ravi wasn't upset about not getting the job. And obviously, he had done a great job in the period that he was there with the team. There's no question about it. I'm sure there is not a single soul connected with cricket in any manner would say that Ravi didn't do a good job. I mean, he gels very well with Virat Kohli, and he is a kind of a guy who's actually, kind of a aggressive. He is like, he knows a lot about. I've always felt that Ravi Shastri was the best Indian captain that the team never had. But again, at the same time, it is indeed, there is no question, he is upset about it. Now he is trying to look for reasons why he didn't get the job. Okay. Now whether he was sitting on a, in a holiday spot giving an interview, or whether Dada was trying to release a book when the interview was going on, I mean, those are incidental things, but the fact is that he is upset.
Okay.
And the fact is that if Dada was wrong, so was Ravi Shastri. There should have been a certain amount of seriousness about giving an interview. I mean, certainly a face-to-face interview means much more than a video interview. I mean, certainly for one of the top jobs in the sport, if you start saying, okay, I'm going to give you through a Skype link, I mean, it certainly doesn't work out. I'm sure in this era, in this time with technology, you might say, well, I mean, that's a pretty done thing. But certainly, I mean, Indian cricket still has a long way to go vis-a-vis that.
Okay, you say it's very clear that Mr. Shastri is still very upset for not getting that job. I'm going to go across to Vedam now. This is a point that Sanjay Manjrekar brought about on his Twitter account. He says that he feels that Mr. Shastri is more miffed with the fact that he got rejected rather than the fact that Sourav Ganguly wasn't present at that meeting. Do you think that's a correct assessment?
I don't think Sanjay actually had to say that, but I don't know what they're thinking, because if Sanjay is able to find out what Ravi Shastri is thinking, that sounds a little corny, whether he is miffed or he at being left out, or miffed at Sourav not being there. I think that sounds a little too corny to understand.
I think it's just an opinion.
Unless Shastri has told him that he is more miffed because this guy was not around. I think it doesn't gel.
Okay, well, in the business of opinion, and as Swami says, it could have been Sanjay Manjrekar's opinion. Okay, now to the last point before I wrap up the discussion. Has the right man been selected or not? And should we even talk about this controversy of what happened in that meeting? Because, this is one narrative that has been put forward that under Ravi Shastri, the Indian team performed exceptionally well. Now, apart from attacking Ganguly, the other point Mr. Shastri has been making in all his interviews is that the Indian team did exceptionally well under him. But was Ravi Shastri's 18-month-long tenure as good as he claims? Let's take a look at the numbers now. Let's start with the shorter format of the game. In all the bilateral series that India played under Mr. Shastri's guidance, they won 6 and lost 5. That is an average record under any circumstances. During that time, India also played 4 multinational tournaments. These included 2 World Cups, 50 overs and T20. Out of those 4 big tournaments, India lifted the trophy in only one, that is the Asia Cup. That too isn't an exceptionally good record to write home about. In Test cricket too, India returned with average results under Mr. Shastri with a success rate of below 50%, because we're looking at the 5 series that were played under him. Okay, looking at this record, Vedam, let me ask you, has the right man then been selected in Anil Kumble?
See, we must always remember one thing. In cricket, the coach's job is not to go out and play. It's the players who are out there on the field to go out and play. A coach's job is to strategize, and if players are down, he has to lift them, and he has to have some sort of a rapport with the captain. That's most important. The most important man on a cricket field is the captain. It's not the coach. So let's move that out of the way. Now, as far as Anil Kumble is concerned, Anil Kumble was an outstanding cricketer, maybe one of the finest bowlers we've had. There's no dispute about that. But my question is, Anil Kumble has not coached anywhere, either a school team or a club team or a college team. So I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I'm saying we don't know. He might turn out to be the finest coach that India has ever had. But, the proof of the pudding is in eating it. So unless he goes out there and performs and, does a great job with his team, we can't say. There's no point in blaming either Shastri or Anil Kumble. Like I said, Anil Kumble may turn out to be, but I think there are certain things which are a little bit jarring. Now, Anil Kumble, as the ICC Cricket Committee chairman, is going to be batting for the DRS. Now, as the cricket team coach, is he going to approve the DRS? Now, there are a lot of questions that needs to be asked. Okay. And I don't think we even started somewhere close to asking questions.
Okay. Swami, the same question to you as Vedam puts in there. Anil Kumble, we don't know. So what would you take? A coach who's unknown, or would you take a coach in Ravi Shastri who's produced, like I showed our viewers, average sort of results?
Nikhil, a team like the Indian cricket team doesn't need a coach, it needs a great HR manager. And I think, Anil Kumble is a very, I think a very capable manager. He was pretty good as a captain. He came in under very difficult circumstances as a captain. Now, unless and until you try him out as a coach, you're not going to get to know him. So, the crucial point here is
another issue about the cricket committee.
See, there is also, I completely disagree with that. I don't think, once you're in a certain job, you're going to bat the way you are expected to for the team. Now, as far as Kumble is concerned, when you have to choose between a batting all-rounder and a bowling all-rounder, it also becomes a coach who's more leaning towards batting, which is like what Ravi is, or more lean, a bit of a lean towards bowling. I would actually go in for Anil Kumble, because your spin bowling, your bowling is what is in doldrums. Maybe just the way Shastri would help out a batsman, I think Kumble probably is needed more to help out a few bowlers. You've got no spinners to talk about, you've got no bowlers. That is your weak department. And as far as Anil Kumble is concerned, he's only been given a year, which is completely, uncharacteristic, because coaches in the past have always been given better, or longer terms, tenures, and here it is. So maybe the thinking is 18 months for Shastri, and let's give 12 months for Anil Kumble, and let's see which is better, and then maybe come out to another decision. Again, that of course is debatable also, but that of course is something else we can always come back to.
Final word to you, and ask this question to Vedam as well, when we asked about Sanjay Manjrekar's opinion, where he goes on to say he feels Ravi Shastri is more miffed with the rejection because he's not accustomed to it, rather than Sourav Ganguly not being there. What did you make of it? Vedam feels it wasn't necessary.
I am completely convinced that every human being, when he is being interviewed for a top job, rejection and being miffed at it is a very, very normal and a very natural human feeling, and there is nothing wrong with Ravi Shastri feeling so.
Okay, I'd like to thank both my guests, Vedam Jayashankar and V. Krishnaswamy. We are hoping to get more reactions on this big story as we keep following it.